friends, and happy Money Monday. So I've got plenty of questions for you. Let's jump in. Frugal Mom says, you did such a great job with your meals. Is it sort of automatic for you now? Yes, thank God. I have been waiting. When I first started meal planning and shopping on a budget instead of just running out every couple of days and buying whatever looked good and constantly wasting food and constantly wasting money. When I first changed that and started to be really intentional with my food purchases and planning, I thought I would never ever get it down. I thought that it would take hours at a time, forever. But no, now it takes me about 5 minutes to throw together a meal plan, about half an hour to go to the store, get everything, come home, film, put everything away, and then on Sunday nights I make my lunches for the week and breakfast, and that usually takes maybe an hour or two, just depending on how long things have to bake, but I do it while I'm cleaning. So yes, it's absolutely automatic for me now. I don't even have to, a great way to keep track of your money when you're starting is to, right next to your shopping list, as you put things in your cart, keep a running total of how much this grocery shopping trip is costing you. So you pick up oranges and they're $2, so you put $2 down, and then you pick up something else and it's $1, so you write down $1, and then you add that out to $3, and you just keep a running total so you know you're not surprised at the checkout. I don't even really have to do that anymore. I know in my brain how much the food in the cart is going to cost. It's always going to come out between $50 and $60. I've just figured it out. And it's not that hard. I usually do kind of keep a running total, if not on paper, then in my mind, and I can quickly go like 5, 10, 15, 20. All right, we're good. Or maybe I need to hold off on that this week. So, all right, next. But yeah, have faith. After you do it for a while, you will totally get it down. It gets easier. It gets easier to meal plan and meal prep and be intentional with your groceries. All right, Fany M says, hey BG, I bought a house with an 80-20 mortgage and I got a modification for the 80% one at 2% interest. I'm super happy about that. But the other 20% was transferred to a collection agency acting like a mortgage lender with monthly statements and charging the same amount of interest at 12% for $40,000. So my question is, should I stop paying them and save to offer them a settlement once I get a chunk of money? Because I refuse to keep paying $400 in interest and $67 to the principal. It's ridiculous. That is a lot of money, and that's a very high interest to principal ratio. However, if you don't pay part of your mortgage, that's how you lose your house. You need to deal with this in a way that doesn't involve just deciding that you don't want to pay the bills anymore. And that sounds harsh, but that's just the reality of life, is that if you're have a mortgage on your house, you don't own your house yet, and if you quit paying for your house, even if it's just a portion of your mortgage, then bad things are going to happen. So I would contact this company and see if there is anything that you can do to either get the interest down, or if maybe you could refinance part of it, but absolutely do not stop paying money on your mortgage. If anything, amp up the amount of money that you're paying these people, so that you're paying more to the principal than just this minimum of $67. And I know that $467 is a big chunk of change. That's about, I pay more than that to my student loans every month. And that's not even including the other part of your mortgage. But you might have to amp up your income if there's nothing else you can do, and just get rid of this debt as fast as possible. And the more you pay to the principal, the more the interest is going to go down. So that's kind of a last ditch, but I would absolutely not stop paying your bills. That's scary. That's how you get into trouble. And, they might not take a settlement. So that is my advice on what to do. Fair warning, I've never purchased a house. There are probably some other YouTubers that could offer you advice with some better backing on that, but I'm pretty sure all of them are going to tell you that not paying is not your best option. Okay? Judith Janssen says, just curious what was written on your hand in your last video, and it was notes for work. Anytime I step out of my office, I immediately remember something that I have to do when I go back into my office, so I'll grab the nearest pen and write it down. I think it's something about like grad tab something, and I I write notes on myself. I'll get ink poisoning one day. That's okay. My Summer Touch says, I haven't seen your cash envelope system so far in any of your videos. Have you done a video on it? Yes, if I can find it, I'll link it below. However, I don't really use a cash envelope system anymore. I tried that for a while, and it just got too complicated because a lot of times I do my personal shopping online, or I'll even buy household stuff off of Amazon, just wherever I can get the best deal. And so I've figured out that the best way for me to do things is I use my debit card, I keep my receipts, and I also keep just some cash in my wallet. And that sounds unorganized, but I treat the cash like it's part of my bank account. Like it's just an extension of my bank account that's in my wallet, and anytime I spend the cash, I keep the receipt for what I bought, or I write it down, and then I log that into my budget, which I keep in an Excel sheet on my computer, just the same way I would with debit card purchases. So my system is contingent upon just keeping track on kind of a daily, weekly basis of where my outgo is. With the debit card, it actually makes it a lot easier, because if I accidentally lose a receipt, I can check my bank log of what I have of all my purchases, and I can kind of double check that I haven't missed logging anything into my budget. Since I don't buy as much with cash, that's easier to just, I donated $20 to the local Relay for Life team. I'll just write that down in the budget, and that's what works best for me. Just always keeping a couple 20s in my wallet, and for yard sales or whatever, just some money in my wallet. I never keep more than $100, and then having my debit card on me. So that is what I do. Some people, cash envelopes work fantastically, and it's the best way to keep their money in order. Just try the different systems around until you find one that works for you. Okay. Megad Eggs says, I meant to ask a question because this is where I mess myself up with my budget. How do you deal with any online shopping? Do you take the money out of the relevant cash envelope, e.g. clothing or personal spending, and pay it back into your bank account, or put it in a cash tin to roll over for the following month, taking that balance off? And I put these questions together for that exact reason. This is where I always got screwed up, because anytime I would buy something online, I'd have this money from the envelope, and it was never the exact amount, $13.48. There wasn't $14.38 in that envelope. I'd always have to kind of borrow from other envelopes and make change from other envelopes, and they'd get messed up by the second week of the month. And so what I do, I keep just some cash in my wallet if I need it, and everything else I do debit card. So that's it. Except for checks. Sometimes I write checks for bills, but that's it. Alrighty. Madeline Norman says, love your channel. I have student debt of $26,268. It's a low interest rate, but I really want to get rid of it fast so I can spend money on life instead of debt. At the moment, I pay $368 every third month, and that will keep me in debt until I'm 45. Any ideas? Well, I'd start paying $368 every month at first. It sounds like you're paying the absolute minimums, and you've done the math. I mean, you're smart. You've done the math, and you see that that's not going to get you anywhere. You'll be in debt until you're 45, and so the only logical thing to do is to pay more to the debt. It's the only way you're going to get rid of it. Student loans are federally secured in America. So, start budget. Stick in your budget that. See how much you can put towards debt every single month, and just start destroying it. $26,000 is a lot of money. I have had that much in student loan debt before. You can get rid of it. I promise you. I'm down to 15 something now. So it gets better. Just throw everything you can at it. Get mad, and before you know it, you will be able to spend your money on life instead of debt. I am right there with you, and I can't wait for it either. Okay. Megad Eggs also asks, I listened to she offered Madeline advice. Sorry. Listen to Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey audiobook for free on YouTube. Yes, you can totally do that. Make a budget. Save your $1,000 emergency fund. I forgot to say that. Yes, absolutely save your $1,000 emergency fund, and then start your debt snowball. Good looking out, Megad Eggs. I sometimes assume that people are already on the Dave Ramsey plan, and sometimes they aren't. So catch me on that, viewers. Just catch me. And then start hustling to get extra income, sell stuff, cut expenses, throw every spare penny at your student loan, and good luck. Well said, Megadex. Thank you. Okay. And then Debt-Free Hopeful says, do you ever find your Dave Ramsey weirdness spilling into your work? When I picture the in a newspaper, it's like a giant finance section with Dave Ramsey's face on it. No. I do my job pretty much like everyone else does their jobs without introducing Dave Ramsey into the mix. That would be interesting, like a Sarah finance column or something. Oh, and then Megadex commented, you were all over this week. I love this. Please tell me there's an Ask Sarah finance column in the paper. And there isn't. No, the Mina newspaper is a hyperlocal, which means that we report on things that happen only in this community, in this county. We don't talk about like national news and stuff like that because you can get that information elsewhere. It's a strategy that a lot of newspapers are using to employ to stay afloat. So yes, no, I spend most of my week at work doing work stuff, and then I come home and do this for you guys because I love you. Alrighty, Stephanie Pullman says, how can a single mother of one buy a house one day? I know I'm out of debt. I know once I'm out of debt, it will be easier. It just seems impossible because of how much decent houses are here in Virginia. I make around $32,000. Just looking for some hope. Stephanie, there's totally hope out there. And the way I found that's best to not get overwhelmed is to take it with the baby steps. So you save your $1,000 emergency fund, and then you snowball your debt in baby step 2, smallest to largest, and then you save your big emergency fund, and then you save for a house. So that seems like a big, long, drawn-out process, but right now you're probably feeling like, I'm never going to be able to do anything one day because I have all this debt, and I'm never going to buy a house, and blah, 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 blah. And taking it one step at a time, like eating an elephant, is the way that you can get through this. So you can totally buy a house, save your emergency fund, get out of debt. You'll get there one day, and I promise you things get easier as you go along because you learn that you can do this. That this is something that isn't actually that hard. You can live within your means, and you can have a future, and you can retire with dignity and meet all your goals. You just have to actively control your money instead of just letting it fly around like in one of those money wind tunnels where people like coat themselves with honey. It's not a good financial strategy. That said, if I was ever given the chance to go in one of those, totally would. My pride isn't worth that much. Okay. Lila Too Cute says, hey Budget Girl, what is your thought about consolidating credit card debt? Thank you. I think you should unless you are at a point where you are so overwhelmed with credit card debt that you can't make all of your minimum payments, you should just take them one at a time. Consolidating tends to make you feel like you're doing something when really you're just pushing your debt around. And the easiest way, probably the best way to do this is to just write out all your debts, all your credit card debt, and then pay the minimums on all of them and snowball your smallest debt. Then roll that up to the next, roll that up to the next, roll that up to the next. And that can actually be a little bit more satisfying, believe it or not, than just having one big debt to chip away at. Like, you're trying to take a giant block of ice and just like, because that's the situation I'm in right now, is I have just this one enormous debt because I consolidated my student loans federally right after I got out of college. I was so overwhelmed by there being like 10 student loans because you take out this much on one and this much on the other each semester. And so I consolidated them because I was dumb. And now I know I feel like I was winning a lot more if I had just all those individual debts that I could just be like, yes, you're out of here. Yes, you're out of here. Like bushwhacking through a jungle. Ah! And instead I'm like, tink, 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 tink. So we're big with the allegories today. Hey, look, here's Rubro. Y'all been requesting her. She's here. She's good. She's a good girl. She's just been staying out of frame for some reason. She's very sleepy. She's a very sleepy girl. But there's Rory for all of Thank you. For all of you guys that miss her. Okay. Anyway, I can't really recommend consolidating credit card debt unless your situation is just absolutely dire and people are coming after you left and right, and you're just under so much debt that you can't breathe. If you can handle this and knock them out one at a time using the debt snowball method, it's absolutely better, and I think that'll be better for you in the long run. So don't lose hope. Just get control. Get control. You can totally do it. All right. Only one lady, K Forever, says, my Walmart will not price match. I've tried 3 times, and each time I was told I had to use the savings catcher, which isn't catching anything lately. And then there's another question. I will address that. Walmart corporate has a price matching policy that all of their stores have to abide by. There are some store managers that will allow you to price match more. For instance, I think the corporate policy is not to price match on like store brands and some other stuff like that. But there is a corporate policy of you are allowed to price match. And what I think you need to do is find that policy, print it out, bring it in. And I would absolutely talk to a manager because cashiers often don't have the most current information. I've gone to my Walmart and had, a cashier standing right next to a cashier that I've price matched with no problem with, telling me you can't do that. We don't do that. And I just and I'm not afraid to call a manager over either because I'm aware of the price matching policies that they have, and I am me. And I'm going to get those deals. So yes, there is a corporate policy that your Walmart has to follow. They may not do all the price matching that you see me doing every week because my Walmart's very small. They'll let me price match cheese, even though I think the corporate policy, generally they'll let me price match cheese, even though I think the corporate policy is that they don't do that. They only price match like meat and fruit. I don't know. It's changing all the time. I would advise you to print it out and then ask the manager what they do, because I know that must be so frustrating for you. But yeah, the cashiers sometimes don't have the best information. I have nothing against them. I usually just go to one that I know has price matched with me in the past, or I just won't go to a difficult one again. But I'm sorry you're having those issues with that. That's very frustrating. But that's how to address that. And I'd talk to your manager. Definitely. And maybe even just do that first. Go ask the manager, what is y'all's price matching policy? Why am I not being allowed to price match? And maybe they can help inform you a little bit. But I might print that out anyway. All right. And then she says, and how do you eat the same thing for a week? I work from home, and even with leftovers, it's hard for me to have the same thing over and over. Can you help? I love your videos, and I can't wait for the new ones. I eat the same thing for lunch every day of the week because I don't particularly care. It tastes good to me every day, and I figure there are 3 meals a day I'm eating. One of them can be the same for 4 or 5 days in a row. It doesn't bother me. However, I have never said that that's what everyone should do. Some people hate leftovers. I know a lot of people that will just make like extra dinner, and they'll have that leftover for dinner or for lunch every day for the following lunch, and they love that. And other people are like, no, I hate leftovers. They're terrible. And I don't understand how food can change that much overnight, but that's just me. So what you need to do is find a plan that works. Maybe you can plan 2 or 3 meals for lunches for the week and only have leftovers once or twice if your palate is if you just don't like eating the same thing every day. I do that because it allows me to do what I believe are higher quality meals. I can invest more because I'm able to split it up into servings that I eat every day. And that's how I eat for $2 and $3 a day at work, because I'll make one big meal and then separate it out. This week it's taco bowls, which are delicious, but it would be difficult it would cost a lot more to buy ingredients and make individual meals every single day. So this is one of the choices that I've made, and it doesn't bother me. But for you, absolutely figure out a way to do what you like to eat and what you want to do. Maybe you have a little bit of room for a little extra money in your grocery budget, and you can afford to plan 3 or 4 meals a week for your lunches, or maybe you can change the kind of meals you're having or leftovers or something. But yeah, my system is definitely not for everyone. It works for me. And I'm sorry to hear that doesn't work for you, that the leftovers don't. So good luck. Yeah, just keep trying stuff until you find something that works. Okie dokie. Amanda Lamb says, "Hey BG, I absolutely love your videos and have been a quiet watcher for a long time. I've recently paid off a loan, yay, and am ready to tackle the rest of my credit card debt. However, I'm now in a situation where I need to move out of my current living arrangements and am on the hunt for a new home. I live in a rare area where rent is highly inflated. It is well known and it is unlikely to change. I can hardly afford the monthly payments for rent to live in some very shady areas of town where I know I won't feel safe. Oddly enough, I can afford the monthly payments for a mortgage at a 3.4% interest rate, also including insurances, property taxes, and bills and electricity, in a safer area of town. The difference between prices seem illogical and somewhat immoral. I contacted city employees and representatives to see if I'm crazy, and it turns out I'm not. The rent prices are legitimately higher than purchase prices. I also don't qualify for any sort of financial assistance for rent because my salary is above their requirements. So my question is, should I take the plunge and purchase a home? I don't plan on moving anytime soon. I would still be able to save, eventually pay off my credit card debt, and would have a possible roommate to help with home expenses. But I am somewhat afraid of taking on a mortgage debt relatively unexpectedly. Any advice is absolutely appreciated." I empathize with your situation. I absolutely do. However, I believe that saddling yourself with extra debt while you're still in credit card debt and you don't have any savings and doing it kind of on a whim, it's unexpectedly, this is kind of a flash decision. I think that a home is a very large financial burden to lay on yourself when you're in the situation you're in. You're suddenly having to move. You may know the kind of the shady areas versus the nice areas, but if you purchase a home, you're taking on this huge extra debt. You have no backup plan, really, no big savings to sit on if something in the house goes wrong, because you'll be responsible for fixing it. And you could just really land yourself in a lot more trouble. So I understand that it might be more expensive for you to rent for a year or two while you get out of debt, but I think that if you follow the plan, the Dave Ramsey plan, and get out of, save your emergency fund, get out of debt, then save your big fund, and then save for a house, it'll be much more of a blessing to you than a potential huge curse and money pit. Because Dave always says that if you are, if you do this system wrong, Murphy just kind of moves in to that spare bedroom. So I don't see why you couldn't get a roommate in an apartment. Maybe that would be a good compromise to share the rent and alleviate some of that burden if you'd be willing to do that in a house. But yeah, I would not advise you to take on a mortgage while you're in debt, while you have no savings, on a whim, just because the prices are a little lower than renting. I think you could really come to regret that decision. And there's the freedom with renting of, if you find yourself in a bad situation, you can leave. You can't do that with a house. It sits on you, and you're stuck there. So I'm sorry, I know that's probably not what you wanted to hear, but I wouldn't want you to take on this huge financial burden when you're not prepared for it. And you obviously don't have enough money to put down a big down payment. You'd be getting it all on debt, and that's just a huge extra burden on your back. I wouldn't want that for you. So that's my 2 cents. You asked. All right. Miss BB 2013 asks, do you coupon? Nope. I'll link a video down below on how I price match to save money on groceries instead. It's a lot easier. I don't have to clip anything. Hate coupons. Hate them. Total respect to anyone that does coupon. You're awesome. I'm not as smart as you. I don't have the time or the energy or the inclination. Can't do it. Tried. All right, and very last question. Beyonce Pays says, "Hey Budget Girl, I love your videos. I enjoy binge watching them while I do my budget." Awesome. My question is regarding Capital One 360. How long does it take for transactions from your regular bank and Capital One account to be successful? And does Capital One 360 provide a debit card, or is it strictly an online-only transaction? Thank you, and keep knocking out debt. I will. Awesome. If you're not familiar with Capital One 360, it's one of various online bank accounts that you can use to keep your sinking funds in or manage your money. They're interest-bearing accounts, unlike many brick and mortar banks that just charge you fees. And I just don't put up with banks charging me fees to keep my money. I don't do that. So I have a local bank that I use to cash my paychecks, because I get actual paychecks. And then I use Capital One 360, which is an online-only bank account to keep all my emergency fund and my savings and all of my sinking funds in there. It's completely free. And yes, you can get checking and savings in there. So with the checking, you can get checks and a debit card. And how long does it take for transactions to go between? Between their accounts, like their checking and savings, it's instantaneous. I can move something from a sinking fund to my checking account on there immediately and swipe my card, and it's there and it's good. To transfer money to refill my Capital One 360 account from my regular banking account, it takes like 3 days. So same as if you were transferring any money online from anywhere. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I've used them for years and I really like them, and it keeps my savings money away from my everyday money, and that helps me not spend it. All right, I hope you all are having a wonderful week so far. Please ask your finance questions down below, and as always, tell me your money wins of what you've done recently, how you're winning with money, because I want to celebrate with you. If you have asked a question or left a money win and I have not addressed it, please ask it again, because sometimes the internet eats it. I don't know why. It just happens, or I miss it. And I hope you all have a great day. Bye.